Hello everybody, it's trivia. So I'm in the basement because I only do trivia at 3 in the morning. Uh, I've talked to a few of you, and some of you have brought in some documents that you've done having drafted isometrically. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be able to do. And even better is perspective. And I would really encourage you after taking this class to every now and then pick up an art book, as I intend to as soon as I learn how to play music, and to draft perspective if you don't know how to do it. And also, I will continue to encourage all of you to kind of promote art, music in the schools, whatever school, your school, or with your kids, because I do believe in this changing world economy, especially looking at the wild graphics that come at you, that it makes a difference. But that said, even though we've been just doing 3-view drawings, I do want to go through how to use AutoCAD tools to make an isometric, especially because the hook of this is how to then take it back into a flat orthographic with AutoCAD tools and then push it out into 3D to make an isometric projection of something that's actual 3D. If you didn't follow that, maybe you will after this. And I'm going to show you, there's a lot of use of the isometric snap, but I'm still not a great believer in it. I'm going to show you why instead, what you can do if you're trying to do isometrics. You have to realize that generally in the isometric drawing, your vertical is vertical and your other two axes are 30 degrees off of horizontal. So what you go about doing is you go to basically polar tracking, and then you add additional angles, and the angles you add are 30 and 150. And then you turn on polar tracking. And these two things are going to just help you out this way. Here's how. Most of the things we've been doing, if you notice polar tracking here, it's going to grab that 30 degrees, and if I want to go 4, I type 4 and I'm good to go. And on this side, I can go to the end point here, start moving in this direction, it polar tracks, and I just put the 8. And now again, I go from the end point there, and I'm going up 5. Now a lot of these things, now you notice that didn't take because that's out of skew. I'm going to go undo, I'm going to go line from the end point there. So what I've got on is I've got polar tracking in, and I'm going to go up 5. And I'm going to go now, and I don't even need to go. I can just kind of leave my hand, right? If you notice here, what did I need? I needed a minus 30 as well, didn't I? So that minus 30 would be something we might want to add, because if I'm trying to go right. But for now, I'll just come back the other way. All right, over here, I'm basically going to draft the external to this general box. I'm going to go for the endpoint. I'm going to go up 2 here. And you're going to learn to do a lot of things like this. These lines are parallel, so you left-click spacebar, C for copy, move them to the endpoint there. And we'll come back with the fillets later. And these lines are parallel, so you could do this, offset T for through. Offset T for through. This point here from the endpoint there. Offset T for through, grab this, go through the end point there, and you can trim that out. Now, of course, you could have just done this line from the end point of this and take it out this way, and that's how your eye really kind of gets screwy, but that's in fact what it is. It's 150, and in fact that indeed is 6 going this direction. Right, and then you might to see how fill this in, and I'll provide this drawing. That's not right. Oh, that 6 isn't right, but this one again is, and you see now that snap isn't there. So you can go back to Shift right click, Object Snap Settings. You can go to Polar Tracking, and you can add. Let's see if it takes minus 30, which it does. It's 3. Beautiful thing. And how about what? An extra 30 down, I guess. Would that be 30 down? I think it is, and that would be what? 30 down is 210. So, new 210. So, kind of nice there. So if I now grab here the end point there, you see how it's going to grab that, and I'm going to go, and it's not perp. I can go near, but I can't do that. I'm just going to kind of take it along there. Sorry. Try again, do line from the end point. Now you can fill it, radius 0, these lines are parallel, spacebar, C for copy, to the endpoint here. This line would extend through, but in all reality, you know that this line is going to be 2 coming this way. You type 2, you do a line down. And this is kind of what many of us know for doing 2D and 3D. In the end, this line, of course, they're still parallel. Left spacebar, C for copy, the endpoint there. It's parallel here, the endpoint there, and the endpoint there, because everything is set up along those 30-degree planes. Now, if you see later, and I won't take you through it, but maybe point you out to if you're going to put in a circle here, it in fact is indeed along an ellipse. I've done this before, so I'm just going to kind of show you a quick demonstration. The mid of that, not before, but I've talked about the fact that along their line, from the mid of this to the mid of that, if in fact the circle is 1 long, if it is 1 long, then it will only be one, it'll only read true along these 3 lines, the orthographic lines, or the isometric lines, which is anything that's parallel to any one of the 3 of those things. So the only things that read true are that. So in this case, I can do something like this. I'm going to go ahead and trim this. Trim that up. And I'm going to try lengthen. And I take total for lengthen, and my length is going to be 1. I'm going to grab this off of this end, remember, and shorten that down. And I do the same thing, trim. Screw that. I've got this. I can like lengthen. Again, lengthen is on your mouse these days. Total and 1, and grab the side to shorten. And if you think about, I'm going to mirror this. I'm not going to mirror. These are the 2 points on the circle, and you're going to see this ellipse comes in. So right along here, I can copy this here from the endpoint there, because if that circle is running along there, and I copy this here from the endpoint there to the endpoint there, and that's essentially, you see what's going to end up being your ellipse. So it in fact is a circle. So I'm just going to leave that there, and in the last few minutes I'm going to show you how then you can take this back to orthographic so you can then push it. So think about it. You can actually do stuff like this. You're going to go ahead and turn these 2 down. I'm going to go ahead first off and take all this, right click, left click, spacebar, 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 move, C for copy, at 10 angle 0. What did I just do? I just copied it over here 10 over. I want to point out why I'm promoting the use of going into 3D pretty quickly is this. These are not 3D. They look and appear to be 3D, but as soon as I do this, they're just representations of 3D. And so I'm mostly doing this kind of bit here in response to all of the great handwork that many of you have done through a couple of classes, and then maybe looking forward later on to nicking. As someone mentioned the other day, a lot of students take master camp, so I had completely forgotten about that after having some great thought early in the semester. So we'll at least look at that perhaps next semester in some of these, how these files transfer into things like that. But I'm going to point out there, that's why in effect drafting in 2D, you get this, a fake isometric, but it doesn't get you much. You can hit undo, undo here, undo, undo. I've got that. What I'm showing you is a rule you never kind of want to do. You'd rather do this. You'd rather left click that, left click, spacebar, move, at. Now you can go about and do this. Change previous, which it doesn't remember. So I'm going to go ahead and double check how many entities I have. List, cross, list, cross. I want to make sure I didn't double copy. There's one. So I didn't do what I wanted to do. I'm going to copy cross from the endpoint there, and where am I going to bring it? At, right on top of itself. I'm copying the thing on itself, so I can now say change previous, which is the last set of things, property layer 0. I just did that, so now I've got a copy of everything on itself. You can do that also, I will point out, with copy and paste and paste in place. That said, in here and going into the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and then just kind of turn everything down to orthographic, compare some areas so you can see some of the mathematics of orthographic projection, promote matrices and vectors. Really, it is a part of vector drafting, and just show you how you can nick some of your 2D drawings back into 3D, or your 3D depictions of 2D back to 3D. Thanks for listening.